welcome back to my Arrow episode review. My thoughts on last night's episode of Arrow titled Missing. And this was a really good episode. It was so action-packed and story-driven, and other than, the Olicity stuff, this was one of the best episodes of the season. Just because the last couple of episodes for me just haven't really done it, and it's just been I don't know, I just feel like the focus on Felicity in the last couple of episodes made me be like, okay, these episodes are okay, nothing too great, and then the episode with our track in the bunker, and then dealing with all the Olicity stuff and the flashbacks, all that stuff. But this was an episode that mattered story-wise, and it's just... This season is really I think it's gonna wrap up great, and if the next episode is as good as this episode, I can officially say that Arrow's made a great comeback. Even though I haven't loved the entire season as a whole, Prometheus as a villain has been great. The characterization of Oliver this season has been great. There's been a lot of great episodes. It's just obviously there's a couple of things that I could really go without, to be honest. Evelyn, don't like her character. I'm not really a big fan of Renee, to be honest. Curtis, I'm at a point now where it's just the writers don't know how to write him. They don't. They keep trying to make him funny, and he's not funny. And the more I see Curtis, the more I'm just bothered by him. And it's just when he's out there in the field, when he's just being Mr. Terrific, he's fine. When he's not using those really crappy one-liners, he's fine. It's every other time he's out and about as just Curtis trying to make those really bad one-liners, that's when I hate the character. But other than them, actually, I miss Ragman. I don't know why they got rid of him. He was, I thought, one of the better recruits. Curtis is fine as Mr. Terrific and using the T-spheres and stuff. But again, it's I've already mentioned why I don't like Curtis. But again, I miss Ragman. I like Dinah. Granted, I still don't like the circumstances in which they brought in this character, but I still think Dinah and Ragman, I think, were better recruits than Renee and Evelyn and Curtis, to be honest. Because I feel like they're the only ones who have actually, really done anything meaningful. Not that Curtis hasn't done anything meaningful, but just, what this season has done with Renee and Curtis, I just, I don't know, there's something about Renee this season that's been really bothered me, and there's something about the character that I really just don't like. And the actor's fine and all. I just certain aspects of the character that the whole gun control episode was probably one of the times I really didn't like the character. And then his flashbacks didn't really matter to me. I don't know, just something about Renee this season. Just I haven't gravitated towards that character in any way. I really like Ragman. I've liked Dinah so far. Curtis, I was growing on him for a while, and then they went back into writing him really badly. And I don't want to hate these characters, I don't hate Renee. I just don't really care for the character. And I never cared for Evelyn, and that's why her portrayal ultimately didn't matter because she was this girl who was barely there anyway. And then as soon as she betrayed the team, she disappeared for 6-7 episodes, came back, and then disappeared for another number of episodes. Just barely came back this episode, and it's what? How is it supposed to matter to us as an audience when she was barely there to begin with? And it's barely, what are her reasoning, what's her reasoning for supporting a psychopathic murderer? How are we supposed to sympathize with her character at all? At least, with Prometheus, you don't support him, but you kind of understand why. But in this episode, it just, I don't know, I just don't like Evelyn. I never liked her in the beginning, and I don't like her now. With that aside, also, I feel like, I said I enjoyed this episode. I'm talking more about the negatives, but again, there's so much I enjoyed about this episode. All the throwbacks to the first couple of seasons, and I love the flashbacks in this episode because we have the Kovar tracked Oliver down to Lian Yu, and he injected him with this torture thing that's gonna help, it's supposed to bring back his mental pain, and he's speaking to the ghost of Yao Fei, and then the ghost of Laurel. I like what they did with Laurel. Because her hair was darker before Oliver came back, so when they had Katie Cassidy back as the mental hallucination thing for Oliver, I did like that they had her darker hair. That's just a little thing. But overall, I really like what they did, especially when they were showing all the bits of like pain when like cars are going over Oliver's body, and they flash back to all the different times Oliver's been hurt in these 5 years. Between, him being tortured by Billy Wintergreen from first season, and getting shot in first season with the arrow, and all the stuff he's been through, like, the season is really starting to wrap up, and this season really has been a return to form, because it's wrapping up this 5-year storyline that the show has had. And I just wish that the show was a lot stronger, and I could say that the 5 years were worth it to get this full circle story of the 5 years on the island and the 5 years in the present day all wrapping up. But unfortunately, they didn't. And the back end of season 3 and season 4 were really, really bad. And Arrow was my favorite show for the longest time. For seasons 1 and 2, again, they were great. And then one of the problems also is that once all the spin-off shows started to happen, when The Flash happened, a lot of the Arrow writers and showrunners jumped over to that show and kind of left Mark Guggenheim to run the show on his own, pretty much. And then we all saw that happen when he started catering towards the All-City fan base. I'm not going to get into that, but we all know what happened. Whether you like it or not, you know what happened with that season. But then, 4th season happened, where 4th season just had good singular episodes. Well, they only had a couple of episodes that I actually enjoyed, and it was the Constantine episode, the crossover, and the Vixen episode. And that's not good, because those are all episodes that I liked because they weren't Arrow-centric, because they featured other big DC characters, but whether it's Constantine or setting up Legends of Tomorrow or bringing back Vixen, or showing us the first Vixen interpretation in live action. And so that season just overall, and then the death of Laurel, all that stuff combined made me I hated season 4. That's why I couldn't even finish it, because it was just all the Odyssey stuff, and Felicity like turning on Oliver because he had to keep this son a secret, and she never understood that, and she was really selfish and frankly kind of bitchy. And I don't like using the term bitchy, but I'm just trying to convey like why I was so upset with that season. And again, I don't mean to offend anybody. I apologize for my language, but this season just reminds me of why I liked the show so much to begin with. Again, I haven't absolutely loved this season. There's been a way better episodes this season than last season or the season before, but there's just been so much to the season that's because it's wrapping up this storyline, and the flashbacks have mattered. And in this episode, when you have there's a lot more emotional beats to this season and to this episode that I really enjoyed. That when you're bringing in Black Siren, and in this episode you had like the banter between her and Lance thinks that it is Laurel, and he is trying to explain that that's not the Laurel that's not their Laurel, that she's from another Earth. And I'm really wondering what are they gonna do with Katie Cassidy next season? Like, is there gonna be some sort of redemption arc? Because you do see it's hard to tell whether she's lying or not, but you do see that she does care for Lance, because whether that's her Earth or not, that's still her father. And you see there is a bit of a pain in her eyes when she's looking at him, and she said like, I'm only doing this because Chase broke me out of prison, and he said you wouldn't be harmed. I'm really wondering what they're going to do with her next season, because, again, Katie Cassidy is back as a regular, so I don't know what kind of role she's going to play, whether she's going to continue to be Black Siren and be a villain, or be the villain, or have it be like some kind of redemption arc, and she can maybe kind of become what Laurel was, and not be evil necessarily. But then it's also conflicting, because then you have Dinah, who's supposed to be like taking up the Black Canary mantle, even though she hasn't officially done so yet. It's very interesting to see what they're going to do with her and her storyline. I'm looking forward to it. And I really like that they brought Katie Cassidy back to the show, even though it's not as Laurel. Black Siren has been a really great character, and I'm really just excited to see what they do with her moving forward. And one aspect of this episode that I want to bring up is Malcolm Merlyn. And you guys know, last season, one of the reasons why I didn't like this last season was Malcolm Merlyn was so poorly used, and even in the 3rd season he was really poorly used, because in 1st season he was a great villain, and every time I saw him on screen, like I was like terrified of what he was gonna do, because you didn't know who he was gonna kill or what he was gonna do next. But then in third season, when they bring him back as a regular, and he's just whining about Thea, and he's just like trying to like impress Ra's al Ghul because he was excommunicated and all this stuff because he left the league and all this stuff, and it's just like you weaken the character, and that's another reason why I didn't enjoy the season, because they just Malcolm Merlyn became a weak character, and for a while I wasn't even excited to see him back on the show. And when they announced that he was going to be part of the Legion of Doom on Legends, I'm like, ugh, really? But Legends handled him great. And Legends this season, I think, is the best of the 4 DC shows that are on the CW, because it was the most consistent, and its storyline it wasn't like last year's these seasons with Legends with Vandal Savage and Hawkgirl and Hawkman. Like this season, like it was really interesting and fun, and again consistent. And while you had characters who I didn't necessarily care for, like Merlin and Damien Dark, they worked in that show because the show can be a little over the top and the characters can be a little over the top. And that's where I think Damien Dark fit the best. And I really enjoyed his portrayal in the show in Legends this season. So when they bring him back, it's funny because when in Legends the version of Malcolm they use was from right after the death of Damien Dark, so they pull him out of time, but then they place him back to that moment. So in reality, it's like Merlin never left. So what has Merlin been doing this past year? We don't know. They never say what. I mean, we know he's been fighting the Legends, but then they place him back into the time where the Legion pulled him from. So it's like, what has where has Malcolm been this entire time? I mean, yeah, we saw him in like the Invasion crossover, but that was like the hallucination thing brought on by the Dominators and stuff for the 100th episode. But I don't know. I did enjoy him in this episode, and now that like there is that camaraderie between Oliver and Malcolm, because they're both fathers, they're both trying to protect their kids, and I'm glad they finally brought William back into the episode, and that we find out that he has been kidnapped by Chase's team, and I'm assuming that William's on the island too with the rest of the team, with Renee and Felicity, Diggle, and the rest of the Team Arrow. And I'm glad that they brought him back, because I feel like they teased that a couple of episodes ago, and then they did nothing with it last episode other than to say, "Oh, I trust you, Felicity. I know what you're doing. I have no." You guys know what I mean. Like Oliver wasn't worried, and now has every reason to be worried because Chase took his kid. And I gotta say, Chase has been a great villain this season. One question I do have is, who the hell is Vigilante, and where has he or she been? So, because they and obviously in the comics, Adrian Chase is Vigilante, and when they did the twist this season of Adrian Chase being Prometheus, ever since that episode where they had that reveal, Vigilante has been nowhere to be seen. We don't know what happened to the character. The showrunners haven't talked about him at all. We don't know what's going to happen with Vigilante or who he or she is. So I don't even know what's going to go on with that character, because I really like Vigilante and they seem really cool. I thought it would have been cool to have Adrian Chase be Vigilante and have that be part of the storyline, and maybe have him join Team Arrow. But they haven't shown Vigilante, so I doubt they're going to do it at this point, especially since there's only one episode left in the season. So I don't know, that was just a little thing. But overall, this episode was great. It was great. This episode wrapped up with everyone going to Lian Yu, Oliver teaming up with Nyssa and Malcolm, and the return of Manu Bennett as Slade Wilson. Because in that the Arrow mid-season trailer from a couple of weeks ago, we heard Manu Bennett's voice, and Manu Bennett did this weird thing on Twitter where he was trolling fans, saying that, he's not coming back to Arrow, he's busy filming the Shannara Chronicles or whatever. And when we heard him in the trailer, a lot of us assumed, maybe they're just going to use a body double but use Manu Bennett's voice. And then in the episode we see Manu Bennett back, of course in live action, and it's not just his voice. It was just great, because Manu Bennett, of course, is one of the best villains the show has ever had. One of the best characters the show has ever had. And I'm so happy that he came back for these last couple of episodes. I'm really, really excited for the finale, guys. I think this has the potential to be one of the best finales the show has ever had. It's easy to beat out seasons 3 and 4 finales. I didn't even have to watch the season 4 finale to know what happened with that. But I think this season's going to wrap up great. I'm really looking forward to it. So I think with that being said, that's going to be it for me. So what did you guys think of this episode? Send your thoughts in the comment section below. Give this video a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for all the other content I put up on my channel. As you guys, if for any of you guys who watched my videos in the last couple of days, you guys know that my fiance Amy, who's been on the channel in the past, she, as an early birthday present, she got me advanced screening tickets for Wonder Woman here in a couple weeks, and I'm gonna be seeing it on May 31st, which is like a day before it's like officially released here in the U.S. because it'll be a Wednesday night, so it'll be a little less than 2 weeks away. Just want to give you guys a heads up because I will be doing a review for the movie that night if you guys want to check that out. You guys, it'll be up on my channel when you guys see. If you guys want to hit the subscribe button and turn on those notifications, and you guys will know right away when my videos are up. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, have a good one.